Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sherard Show. I'm your host, Sherard. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited for today's episode of the show. We have an entrepreneur, we have a businessman, we have and a friend of the show as well stopping by to talk about a story that is very, very interesting and very deep and also very thought-provoking. The man himself, Mr. Paul Alix, is back on the Sherard Show. But before we get to Paul, the Sherard Show is brought to you by the Pure Essence Television Network, where you can see the greatest episodes of your life, from Michael Spinks to the Temptations, the Isley Brothers, the Supremes, Joe Montega, and many more. Just click the link on your monitor below and you can check out the greatest episodes of your life. Also, if you missed this broadcast on television, you can also listen to it on iHeartRadio. Again, you can just click the link, smile, and drive. And then lastly, it's brought to you by my Rah shoe collection, where 20% of the proceeds go to the fight for the cure for lupus. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman here is an entrepreneur. He's been doing it for many years. One of the greatest tent shops you can ever imagine. It's mobile. He's even done my car. I'm very satisfied. But also, he's written a book, ladies and gentlemen, called Organizing Your Extended Family for Success. Incredible read. You definitely want to check it out. I'm getting through it right now. And this is he's holding up a copy as well. And we want to welcome him back to the Sherard Show to tell his story today. The man I was versus the man I am. Welcome back to the show, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good, Paul. Thanks for asking, Paul. First of all, I've known you for many years. As a matter of fact, I've known you since 2014 when I first got in town. I did a interview with you and your wife on the show in Studio City a long time ago.
Yeah,
But
that was a while ago.
I couldn't believe it, but it's amazing though, because you have such a story to tell. Let's talk about your start first and foremost. Where did you get your inspiration to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I believe it started with my mother. It started with my mother. My dad was just a hardworking person. He was a hardworking man. He worked hard, but my mother wanted to be an entrepreneur, but she never pursued it because she was always afraid. She did like stuff like Mary Kay for a little while, but then she just didn't pursue it because eventually what happened is that her mother passed, and then she had got what they call agoraphobia, if you know what that is. That's when you're afraid to go outside. So her whole world changed, and then she was telling me about my great grandparents. She was telling me about my great grandma Missouri and Henry Harris, and she was a good storyteller. And I think that what drove me. My dad gave me more of that drive, never give up, no matter what situation you're in, because he was more of a military guy. He was Marines, and he was Marines, and he was not Air Force, Navy. He was Navy, so he kind of drove that spirit in me to continue on achieving what you can get, even if you run into a bunch of bumps or whatever it may be in life. And I ran into a lot of bumps, brother, because of my hard-headedness.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute because we're kind of going that way. Now, it sounds like you came from a really solid family. Oftentimes, when things go left, many times it's because of the rearing, but that wasn't the case. So, Paul, what led to you going left, as you were mentioning, being hard-headed?
Well, what led to me going left, because I was a responsible individual, and I couldn't get a job, due to my dyslexia. When they hire somebody, they want somebody not just responsible, but want somebody to help their company grow. And I couldn't figure that part out. So even though we say we're an entrepreneur, we want to be an entrepreneur, but we just don't have the quality of entrepreneur. And I didn't have that quality at the time because I just didn't know. And I got a family at an early age. I was 21 years old when I got a family, 21, 22, around that age. And then, having kids, and you got to work. And I just couldn't find no job. So I just started doing illegal activities to make money, in which that's not a justification, but in my head, that was a justification.
Now, Paul, you grew up in Houston. Now, did this happen? This all took place while you were in Houston?
Everything took place in Houston, Texas, and I eventually I just started hanging around all the wrong guys. We just built I guess, clan, everybody, a clan of hustlers, and everybody competing against one another, trying to make it to the top, And we
Now,
started,
what was your crime of choice?
my crime was cocaine. I was a distributor of drugs, cocaine, and then some weed involved and stuff like that. But what was amazing that the celebrities that I met in Houston, Texas, that I used to be around, the drug business I thought was a great business at the time, but it wasn't. It just wasn't.
Now, Lynn just joined us, and we'll get to her momentarily as well. We're speaking to the man himself, Mr. Paul Alix. Again, we're going to be talking about his book. We're also talking about his rearing and then how things went left. We will be taking questions from the audience a bit later in the show as well. So now, Paul, Richard Pryor once said that you're making too much money when you can afford cocaine. Is that something that was going on with you?
Well, I ain't gonna say I was blessed, but I met people that liked it, my character, Colombians that came from Cali, Colombia, and I met them in the clubs, and they kind of like whatever you want is yours, and then they gave me the key to a safe house. In that safe house, that was a lot of drugs involved, and then from now I had connected with other drug dealers selling drugs and stuff like that, which sometimes it's hard for me to talk about because that what gave me the 13 years in prison.
So now, Paul, and we're going to get to that. Now, how big did you get
Well,
before the bottom came out?
yeah, I didn't get that big, I didn't get that big because I make money and spend it quickly as I made it. I went out to clubs, bought cars, and we started record labels, me and some friends, and we had tried to start our own little car lot. We just tried to be entrepreneurs, but we didn't know what we was doing. We just got the stuff, and then it wasn't about money. It was just about trying. It was just about trying to be something that we wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So now, Paul, what was the day and what happened that led to you getting arrested and tried and convicted and then eventually going to prison?
Well, I drank some water. Mouth getting thirsty. Mm-hmm. Well, I remember it was 1992 when I had got an indictment. When I got that indictment, I got in trouble in Louisiana. That's when they first, because we was taking drugs, delivering drugs to different states, and then Louisiana indicted me. And then when they indicted me, I was going back and forth to court, but I beat that case. I beat that case in Louisiana, and then the feds came, and then they had re-indicted me again. So Louisiana transferred me to the feds, and then I had to make bond. I got out on bond on that, and then I got indicted again by Houston, Texas. They indicted me, and then after that, I got indicted somewhere else. It was just that. That's why I believe that if you do wrong, it's gonna come back and get you. See, one thing about selling drugs, you got a 5 year window. So in the conspiracy case, in the conspiracy case, they can come get you if they had the evidence within 5 years, and the evidence is based on hearsay, or it can be based on just people talking, because they're gonna get those people to testify against you in court. If you want to get it, because they got a case too, and I found out how crooked this stuff was. I said, I don't know that guy, and some of the guys I didn't even know. I never saw, never talked to, or none of that. But the prosecutor, I mean, not prosecutor, but my lawyer said that he just striking a deal and trying to get out of prison. So you are one of the guys that he's gonna try to get out of prison with, because they brought him from prison and bring him to court to testify on you.
So wait a minute, Paul. So somebody was testifying against you, but you didn't even know him?
I didn't even know him. I didn't even know him. We had people sitting up there, and I'm touching my lawyer. I'm like saying, I don't know this guy up here. She said, Paul, don't worry about it. That's just the way the game is. And I say, well, it's unfair, but I didn't really think of it. That what gave me that anger, because I was mistreated in court, gave me the strength, or gave me the vision to create this book, because I didn't want the next generation. I didn't want this to happen to the next generation, because I didn't understand how manipulated this stuff, the court system can be, especially the prosecutors, and I can understand, because if I was on that end too, I probably do the same thing to people that's out there doing wrong too. I'm gonna do anything I can to make sure that they don't hurt the next generation of kids, or the next generation of kids. So I'm not mad at them now that I understand their process. But what I'm upset about is that there's the differences between crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Crack cocaine, you get a mandatory 5 years. Powder cocaine, you get for 500 grams, that's a half a kilo, you can get the same amount of time. So one you can make $15,000 on, and one you can make $20 on, but you're getting the same time. You see, that's what's unfair about it. That's what Jesse Jackson them and all them and Sharpton them was talking about. They was getting upset about that, but they changed the law, and some of us got out. But I did all my time and came home.
So Paul, now when you got sentenced, what did they give you?
They gave me 135 months. I counted them up. I said, okay, that's like 13 some years, and then you got to do 85% of your time. So I did the 85% of my time, and I came home. I had good time. So I had a year of good time. So they let me come home early.
So now, you didn't just sit there and just wait for the time to go away. You actually utilized your time and made yourself better. Let's talk about that. What are some of the things you did while you were in prison to make yourself better and to learn?
Okay, like I was telling you earlier, I was very observant, and I was observing where I can achieve where I can learn, or where I can advance the most, and that was in the law library. You see what I'm saying? And that was in the GED classes. And in Feds, they have every type of class you can imagine: real estate classes, stock classes, and these are all taught by inmates. Inmates who and they got legal classes that are taught by inmates, like Judge Lanier. That's one of the judges that was my mentor. He taught me about law. So he worked in the law library. So it's an actual judge that got sentenced that came to the Feds, that we became good friends. So he said, Paul, I'm gonna teach you about law, and how we and we went from law, how he put his whole legacy together and his family together. And then I met Clay, and he was a psychologist from DePaul University. He got in trouble too, and he was a chemist. So he got himself in trouble, and he taught me how to read and write, Brother Clay. And him and his wife they came to the visiting room, and she brought in children's books. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever it takes, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? So I spent a year with him, with Clay. And then after that, I started learning. So I started grabbing encyclopedias. I started grabbing dictionaries. I started grabbing whatever I could to understand words. Then I realized words are very, 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 very powerful. Very powerful.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to find out exactly how Paul was able to overcome his dyslexia and become a multi-millionaire, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sherard. We'll be right back right after this. We have soon-to-be Hollywood royalty on the show, the lovely Natalie Paulison. Welcome back to the show.
I am planning a wedding, and it is a full-time job.
Very few people become as successful as fast as you have in LA.
As I get older, I know more and more who I am, and I do think that it is hard with LA.
Are you a fan of wholesome, great films that kind of leave you thinking once you walk out the movie theater? And welcome Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sherard Show. I'm your host, Sherard, for our Tuesday conversation with the man himself, Mr. Paul Alix. If you missed the last segment, he's dropping a treat and treatment as well about his life on the street, as well as being a drug dealer, and then also going to prison and coming out. Now, Paul, this dyslexia is a very interesting thing because what it is that basically with dyslexia, you're looking at the words are reading backwards to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And
they swimming like fish.
exactly. And R. Kelly and many others have suffered from that. And it's very hard to overcome. So how were you able to overcome it?
Well, repetition. You just read the same sentence over and over and over and over and over until you get the meaning. I mainly use my fingers when I'm reading. I use my fingers so I can follow the words over and over and over and over until I can lock it in. And then once I learned the definition of the word, went to the dictionary, I just looked up the adjective versus verb versus noun because I wanted to put it in a category. And then I just read the dictionary, the meaning of the word over and over and over and over. So repetition helped me overcome. I still have it. I still have dyslexia, but not at the point that I used to have it, where I couldn't spell, I couldn't read, anything like that. It was totally embarrassed. I remember at a book signing, I actually read a chapter, not a whole chapter, but I read a verse out of one of my books. That was the first time I say, okay, I'm nervous, but I'm gonna do it, even though I already learned how to read and write.
So now, Paul, the thing is there a cure for dyslexia?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. If it is, I would have found it because I did a lot of researching on dyslexia. I think it's you can overcome it. It's just like smoking cigarettes, I guess, or being an alcoholic. You always had an urge for smoking or drinking or whatever, even though I don't drink no more, but I still say, wow, I go to a restaurant or I go somewhere and I say, man, that show look good though, but I don't want none.
Paul, can you just pick up a newspaper and read it, or you still have to just take your time reading?
Oh, I can pick it up. I can pick it up and read it. Yeah. Yeah, I can pick it up and read it, but I might read slow because I'm processing slow. But in my mind, if I'm reading quietly, I'm moving quickly. But I'm reading out loud, I'm reading slow because now I can hear my voice and I'm processing it in my mind as quick as possible.
Very good. All right, well, let's talk about your book, again, Organizing Your Extended Family for Success. For those who are itching to get it, what can they expect when they read your book?
Well, they would know, they can expect through the first chapter, it'll talk a little bit about me and my dyslexia and my mother, and that's probably about the first 5 pages, which I'm the grandson that's reaching out to my extended family. That's why I met my cousin Lynn when I came home. I met her because it was my goal to try to organize the family. So Lynn is on the team now, and we're going to do great together.
Yes, we are.
Welcome, Lynn. How are you?
I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm good, Lynn. We do need to see you.
Oh, hold on. Let me see.
We do now. Now, Paul, what year did you get out?
I got out 2005.
So you were 2 years before the iPhone. What was life like when you first got out?
Oh, the iPhone came out in 2005?
Came out in 2007. So you're 2 years before it came out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
A lot of individuals who go to
I would
prison.
invest in that.
A lot of individuals who go to prison. One gentleman, he couldn't believe that you could wave a wand to pump your gas. He didn't know how to pump gas. A lot of people, it took them, like 6 months to learn how to use Zelle. So what was your thing you had to learn?
Well, what frightened me the most, I remember going up to Home Depot. I remember going to the Home Depot, and I think I was out a few days, probably about a week, and I was going buying some house product stuff. And then in California, when you're driving up there, you have a lot of Spanish people running towards your cars, trying to want to work. And I didn't understand that concept, so I bagged up real fast because I thought it was somebody trying to get me. You know, then I went back home. My auntie said, Paul, no, that they just you know, they up there working, they just trying to hustle and work. And I'm like, man, that scared me. I said, I thought it was like a gang banging trying to come running toward me. And that's how the mind worked, you know. And then I didn't understand, you know, like they had so much technology out, you know, so much technology out, like I didn't people talking about search engines, you know, going on Google and stuff like that. I heard it over the phone, but I didn't know nothing about that stuff. But I learned it quickly. I learned a lot of that quickly, you
So
know.
now what made you begin your tent shop, which ultimately became very successful?
Yeah. Well, I had a tent shop before I got in trouble. I had a tent shop in Houston, and I, you know, but like I said, I didn't take it serious. But when I got home, when I went to California, I said, okay, we was doing okay in Texas with a tent shop. I wanted how to be out here in California. So in California, I just started going up to dealerships. You know, I was hungry. I started going up to dealerships. I started going up to little mom and pop shops. I started going and say, hey man, I tint your car for $100. You know, y'all got any cars? I do it for $100. You know, and it just everybody just started calling me, man. They just started liking me. Hey man, let's call Paul. Next thing you know, I was making $300 a day, and that was a lot at the time.
Very good, definitely so.
Yeah.
Lynn, are you there?
I'm here.
We still can't see you though.
You can't see me, no.
You gotta click video.
Hold on.
All right.
Okay.
There you go. There you go, Lynn. How are you?
There you go.
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
How
I'm
you
good.
doing?
Thanks for asking. So Lynn, we're glad you're on the show. Is there something you would like to interject before we take the questions from the audience?
I don't know. I'm just here supportive of my cousin Paul because his story really inspired me. You know, when I met Paul a couple of years ago, he told us a little bit about the book at a family reunion. And then, you know, we would talk off and on from here to there. And when he sent me his book and then I started reading it, it really inspired me even more because he has went from, you know, from, I guess you can say from pit to palace. You know, he's faced many trials and many obstacles, you know, with drugs and imprisonment, and he never gave up, suffering from dyslexia and mental issues at home. And he just would not give up. So that lets us know that no matter what you go through in life, you know, you just keep going and going. And he tells me that all the time. He say, cousin, you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and he actually inspired me to start back doing some things. But with his book, it showed me that you can overcome any obstacle. And what he's trying to bring in the family is unity and success. And I really see his vision very clearly. So when he cooperated with me to join him on his team, I gladly accepted.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Paul is keeping it all
Thank you,
in the
cousin.
family. Well, Paul, we have a time for about a few questions. Audience are lining up to ask you a few questions. You're all set for them?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, Paul. So this one is from Madeline. This is from Madeline. She is from Santa Clarita, California. She said it's a very touching story, Paul. Her question to you is, for a convicted felon, the first day he or she gets out, what's the first thing they need to do?
Well, well, it depends on when you go to the halfway house for the first time when you first get out. They send you to the halfway house to prepare you back for the world, you know. But then I think they should immediately try to search for a job, because that's the first. We got to make money. So that's immediately what I did. I went to the Yellow Pages and I looked in the Yellow Pages and I found a tent shop. And I went to about 6 different tent shops. And this one guy said, okay, I'll try you out, Paul. You know, I told him my story. And then I ended up working at that tent shop for 2 years. And then I got really good there. They taught me a lot. They taught me a lot there. But that's the first thing an individual should do, is find a job, because you have to make money and you have to survive. And you can't not be asking other people for money because you're grown, you know, begging other people for money.
Very good. We appreciate that, Madeline, so much. Also, now this one is from Ryan. This is from Ryan. He's from Dalton, Illinois. Dalton, Illinois. He's saying, great story, Paul. His question is, where can he purchase your book? And then also he said he was a convicted felon. Now he is out, but he's finding it's still a struggle. What is your advice to him?
Well, First of all, he can find my, but he can type in organizing your extended family for success. It'll pop up everywhere. It's all over the places. It's in every country. And also he can type in my name, Paul, and then Alix, Alix at the end, and then it'll pop up. If I believe that okay, what first of all I have to know what type of skills this guy got, because see what happened is that sometimes people don't want to give you chances on jobs. He have to try to figure out how he can if he want to become an entrepreneur. Me, I wanted to become an entrepreneur because I didn't want to be discriminated on the job and blame society for not hiring me. You see what I'm saying? So I had to figure out that part. So he had to figure out what did he like doing, and can he make money at it? It's a lot of ways to make money out here that's not illegal. So he got to try to get with some friends, family, or something like that, and try to work with them. Just construction, I mean, landscaping. They got a lot of different ways you can make money if you want to do it. Some of this work is hard, but you got to start off somewhere.
Very good. Appreciate that, Ryan. All right, this last question is from Sean. This is from Sean. He is from Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. He said, great show, Sherard. We appreciate having Paul on the show. His question is, when will you be in a city near him for your book tour?
Where is he?
He's in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, I have no idea. I went to South Carolina. So I have no idea, brother. I mean, if they invite me out there, like they invited me a couple of places in Houston and a couple of other places, they invite me out there, and I go out there for book signing. It's like a 6-hour drive for me.
Okay, very good. Well, Paul, we really appreciate you stopping by the show. Now, please let everybody know where they can reach out to you. You have a lot more questions. We can't get to them all this afternoon, but where can they reach out to you? Facebook, email, things like that.
Well, they can go to my Facebook page, Organizing Your Extended Family for Success. They can type that in, or they can go to my website. They can go to my website. It's AuthorPaulAlix.com, and that's AuthorPaulAlix.com. Or they can email me at help at, and then put my website domain name on there. So help@AuthorPaulAlix.com.
Thank you, Paul. Paul, I really appreciate you stopping by on the show. Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? I believe that my book, because I had it, the information, how the information was delivered to me, through what I believe a universal mind from my great grandparents, because I heard so many stories about them. So I'm saying, help me, give me the information that I need to put in a book form to go out and put the whole family together. Now we're gonna have those who is skeptical because this is something new. This is something new, trying to put a family together that wasn't already together, like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. The Rothschild, they understood. John D. Rockefeller understood how the process worked. You see, and a lot of people back in the 1800s that's multi-billionaires today, it takes generations to get to that. Like for example, my cousins, when we get ready to purchase property, when we get ready to purchase land or go in business, they got what they call, you can put together shares. You know what I'm saying? A share agreement. Everybody can get their own portion of share agreement. Then we put sweat equity together. We work together like that, because you got some people like, hey, I'm gonna give you 20%, I'm gonna give you 10% of the company, but you just talking. Let's put it on paper. So that way you can say, look, Paul, this is what we talked about. You see, so just you just can't. You have to have, for example, every time getting the whole family together is like running a corporation. How a corporation is ran: bylaws and policy. A family is the same way. Books, short pamphlets, storytelling. and all this stuff has to be together. And in my book, I talk about whole life insurance policies, cash value. I talk about 1031 exchange, which that way you can not avoid paying taxes, but you can transfer taxes from a property or from property you sold to the property you transfer. You can avoid paying capital gains taxes. So I'm talking about all this good stuff in that we don't even know about. You know, so I just asked God. You know, I learned that my entire family is praying people. They just praying people. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
they love God and they pray. You know, but we got to do more than praying. We have to because word without what? Action is dead.
That's right.
You know,
Well, Paul, you certainly missed your calling. You sound like a preacher now. You know, you kind of remind me of when the young lady was asking her mom, you know, what does it mean when the preacher does this? She said it means to pray. What does it mean when it means to stand up? It said it means to stand up. What does it mean when he does this? She said it means nothing at all. So that's nothing at all, preacher. But you missed your calling, preacher. But we want to thank you so much. Any final thoughts, Lynn?
Well, my final thoughts are just, whatever you put your mind to, do it. Just don't give up. Don't give up. Just have trust and faith in God and just go from there.
Thank you, Lynn. We so much appreciate that, Paul.
Thank you, Lynn.
Lynn stopping by
You're
the Sherard Show. Make sure you subscribe to the Sherard Show on the Pure Essence Television Network on YouTube, as well as download the Pure Essence Television app. And stay tuned on our next episode of the Sherard Show, where we have the legendary Mr. Lionel Richie stopping by the show to talk about 50 plus years in the industry, working with Michael Jackson and so many other things. You don't want to miss it. And then always remember, ladies and gentlemen, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah.
Sherard Show. Bye now.